This episode of Movie Night is brought to you by Netflix. Sign up for a free 30-day trial at netflix.com/jogwheel.
You know, I never understood that. Why did you judge me?
You killed innocent people.
The means to an end.
You started a mess.
I caused a revolution.
You betrayed the law.
Ooh, this is Movie Night. Hello and welcome to Movie Night, YouTube's most viewed movie review show. I'm your host, Jonathan Paula. Tonight we'll be examining two familiar 90s sci-fi films and their 2012 remakes. We begin with Total Recall. Loosely based off the Philip K. Dick story We Can Remember It For You Wholesale, this Paul Verhoeven science fiction action film was released on June 1st, 1990. Arnold Mr. Universe Schwarzenegger is a construction engineer on Earth in a dystopian future set in the year 2084, who decides to embark on a virtual memory-implanted vacation to the planet Mars. But when things go south, he finds himself in the middle of a terrorist conspiracy on the Red Planet, helping freedom fighters while struggling with a bizarre identity crisis. At least that's one possible reality. Even though he's a menacing physical specimen, Schwarzenegger perfectly embodies the everyman persona, dishing out verbose bits of exposition and goofy one-liners with his hearty Austrian accent while being extremely entertaining in the process.
Tell me exactly what happened. Why would spies want to kill you?
I don't know, but it had something to do with Mars.
Mars? You've never even been to Mars.
I know, it sounds crazy. But see, I went to this recall place after work.
You went to those brain butchers?
Let me finish.
What did they do to you? Tell me.
I got a trip to Mars. And so what happened was... Well, forget about recall, will you?
Doug.
These guys were going to kill me.
Doug, nobody tried to kill you.
They did, but I killed them.
You're having paranoid delusions.
You call this a delusion?
Rachel Ticotin, Sharon Stone, Michael Ironside, and a host of other creatures and characters are never as memorable as Arnold, but they do a good job with the complicated material. Although the movie might have too many villains, Ronny Cox is excellent as the primary antagonist, humorously taunting our hero by declaring, "I'll blow this place up and be home in time for cornflakes." Twisting and turning for the entire 113-minute duration, this is a mind-bending piece of science fiction, blending stunning visuals with intriguing concepts and developments. Earning back 5 times its $50 million budget, the visuals in this picture are remarkable, achieved almost entirely with miniatures, puppets, and matte paintings, making it one of the last big Hollywood blockbusters to go that route. Initially given an X rating, this tongue-in-cheek picture was eventually edited down to a very graphic and sometimes disgusting R-rated experience. Effectively utilizing some metal percussion, Jerry Goldsmith's score keeps the mood tense during the well-paced Martian adventure that effortlessly bounces from one exciting set piece to the next. You name it, this movie has it, from incredible prosthetic work, like the three-breasted lady, explosive shootouts, hilarious quips, captivating mysteries, to epic fistfights and locations. As far as hyper-violent futuristic thrillers go, this is certainly one of the best, but that particular niche subgenre might not be for everyone. Keeping you guessing until the credits, this movie almost demands multiple viewings. Total Recall expertly balances intrigue with action. Now let's see what you had to say about this movie in the YouTube comments. The Ratematic for Total Recall, an 8 and a 9. You felt the action and twists were enjoyable but faulted the picture for being cheesy, ultimately you thought it was great. This style and genre of films is one of my favorites, and Schwarzenegger is as incredible as ever here. Despite its many flaws, I've always loved this one. I think it's awesome. Now let's discuss the remake, also titled Total Recall. For reasons that escape mostly everyone, the 1990 version with Schwarzenegger was remade by director Len Wiseman on a budget of $125 million and released in August of 2012, earning a $70 million profit. The visually slick movie features Colin Farrell in the lead role, as a factory worker in the distant future who suspects he might be a trained spy following a violent visit to a memory implant service, mirroring a plot similar to, but ultimately widely varied from the original. Faking a convincing American accent throughout, Farrell does a commendable job on the lead role. He's believable in the action setting and likable as a protagonist, defending his new identity by declaring, "I may not remember who I was, but I know who I am." Opposite him is Kate Beckinsale and Jessica Biel as a double agent and love interest respectively. The duo, who besides being criminally beautiful, look so similar to each other it's easy to get them confused. Honestly, they're easier on the eyes than they are on the plot. Neither one truly feels comfortable interacting with the largely CGI and chroma keyed environments. Bryan Cranston, however, is wonderful as the primary villain. Although he is woefully underutilized, not appearing in any substantial capacity until the halfway mark, and he wastes a majority of his screen time mumbling exposition instead of dispatching the hero. Entirely devoid of any wit, dry humor, or true true character development, the only thing this PG-13 remake has going for it are the incredible special effects and fast-moving action sequences, which literally and figuratively fly by.
How long's your stay?
3 days.
What's your business in the UFB?
Thank you.
Excuse me? 3 days.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's him!
A gritty yet simultaneously glossy representation of a dystopian future is perfectly represented, from the uber-cool hand-embedded phones to a massive trans-Earth core-penetrating commuter vessel, host of a fun zero-G fight sequence that is very entertaining. Harry Gregerson Williams' score is a serviceable one, moody and ominous, but nothing that elicits much suspense. Thankfully, this PG-13 rated picture simplifies some of the overcomplicated elements of the original, but unfortunately it's done at the expense of intriguing twists and an open-ended conclusion, with all the subtlety of a hammer. For fans of feral, big-budget action blockbusters or gorgeous ass-kicking brunettes, there's plenty to enjoy here, even on repeat viewings. Just don't expect much on the intellectual side of things. Total Recall. Hollow thrills, fast and blunt. Here's what the Movie Night audience had to say in the YouTube comments. The Total Recall remake on the Rate-O-Matic, a 6 and an 8. Everyone agreed this flashier version was inferior to the 1990 original, but the visuals and actions were strong, you thought it was good. I seem to be in the minority here, but I really enjoyed this picture. The chases and fights were exciting and inventive, and the picture wasn't needlessly complicated, but perhaps too much so. A simple, explosive popcorn adventure with cool locations, I thought it was great. Now for tonight's poll question, what is the best remake of all time? Leave your response as a comment below. I'm back with my review for Judge Dredd after this quick commercial break. Released in June of 1995, this science fiction action thriller by director Danny Cannon made only $20 million in profit against its sizable $90 million budget. Opening with a montage of old comic book covers, this movie needs to remind folks that the picture is indeed an adaptation of an existing character. James Earl Jones dutifully narrates an expositional scroll that sets the scene for the morbid, criminal-infested society 1,000 years in the future. Backed by Alan Silvestri's wonderful score that is frankly too good for the material, this 96-minute picture rather expertly combines models, animation, and paintings showcasing a lush and intriguing future, where the traditional justice system has been replaced by a single position known as judge. The most dedicated of whom is the title character, played by Sylvester Stallone. Yelling silly dialogue with his trademark slur, he does a fine job of puffing out his chest and looking menacing, but he seems to portray the iconic role with a bit of a chip on his shoulder, and diehard fans of the franchise reacted harshly to Dredd removing his helmet, something the comic book character never did.
So what are you doing down there, Judge Hershey?
Waiting for backup.
It's here.
Let's move it up. Keep it simple. Single file. Standard relay. On point. Your left. Grenade.
Nice shot, sir.
You two meet me on the 40th.
From the goofy and flashy outfits to the 4:3 TV monitors and the voice-activated weapons, much of this future seems curiously clumsy and backwards, but the R-rated adventure plays things fast and loose enough that you never have time to complain. As the comedic foil and buddy protagonist, SNL alum Rob Schneider is an interesting casting choice, but it pays off. His jokes are occasionally funny, and he's the only person in the film that the audience can actually relate to, a reformed criminal down on his luck looking for a second chance. Armand Assante chews through the scenery as the unblinking villain, professing his case, guilt and innocence is a matter of timing. Meanwhile, Stallone, who earned a Golden Raspberry nomination for Worst Actor, famously remarked on the film, "We shouldn't have tried to make it Hamlet, it's more Hamlet and eggs." The set pieces are grand and impressive, especially a flyover sequence of the film's biggest megacity area. But why must a climactic fistfight take place inside the Statue of Liberty's head? Besides being completely unmotivated and unexplained, it just seems pointless, however cool the visual imagery of it might be. Between the corny catchphrases and subpar acting, there's actually a great deal of fun here, at least on an initial viewing, and especially if you shut your mind off. Judge Dredd, inconsistent and ridiculous, but charming. Then you've heard my opinion, let's check out some of yours. Our scores for Judge Dredd, a double 5. Calling it campy, stupid, but still fun, you thought this movie was alright. I completely agree, this is your typical Stallone picture. Nothing outright awful, but hardly forgettable either. An enjoyable way to spend an hour and a half with your friends, I thought it was alright as well. Finally tonight, let's review the most recent adaptation of this character in Dredd. This British-South African film from director Pete Travis, released on July 11, 2012, is more of a reboot than a proper remake of the Stallone picture from the 90s. Although the original made a modest profit, it was critically panned, which seemed like a reasonable enough reason for this version's genesis. Unfortunately, it failed to earn back its $45 million budget, even if it was better received. Set in the distant future, the landscape of Mega City 1 is unforgiving, the seemingly non-futuristic environments portrayed with an unromantic, gritty realism. Overtly violent, this R-rated sci-fi action picture stars the gruff Karl Urban as Judge Dredd, an uncompromising law enforcement officer who wields the power of judge, jury, and executioner with an almost gleeful passion, narrating early that he is the only thing fighting for order in the chaos. Staying faithful to the 2000 AD comic strip, Urban never once removes his mask, which also ensures the emotionless role is impossible to relate to. But the film wisely incorporates a rookie character, the attractive Olivia Thirlby, whose powerful psychic abilities thankfully keep her cranium free of unsightly police attire. Wood Harris is the seductive and controlling Mama, an evil empress figure who aggressively rules over an entire apartment complex by regulating the flow of narcotics amongst her poor and dependent subjects. It's a cookie-cutter stereotype, but she's definitely entertaining in the role, and a great foil to Urban's take-no-prisoners approach.
Your gang locks down the whole block. Massacres an entire quadrant of men, women, and children just to take out 2 judges. Sound like overkill to you? I think if we'd executed you on the bust, Mama would have let us walk out of here.
The army of judges are outnumbered, able to respond to only 6% of the 17,000 crimes committed daily. And for better or worse, this 95-minute gore fest focuses on a single case, with Urban and Thirlby hunting down evildoers while locked inside a drab, concrete residential tower. All of the political undertones of a corrupt justice system prevalent in the 1995 version have been stripped away, in favor of a quick-moving, non-stop shooting spree, littered with bouts of glittery slow motion that were likely even more mesmerizing in 3D, and surreal dream sequences edited with a kind of kinetic ferocity. The cold, merciless, unfeeling, but still vulnerable Dredd doesn't make for the best role model, but it is terrific fun to see him rip apart a horde of gun-wielding drug addicts with his advanced weaponry. Capped off by a satisfying and visceral ending, this picture is worth watching once, offering a different perspective on the underrated comic book character, but not necessarily a new one. Dredd. Improved adaptation, but familiar action. Let's read some of your reviews now from the YouTube comments. Dredd on the Rate-O-Matic, an 8 and a 7. The word we all seem to use was gritty, and for you, that and the film's more faithful adaptation to the source material was enough to score it a great. Ultimately, I wanted more from this picture, which blended all of the right elements, characters, cinematography, music, and tone, but never really did anything with them except the traditional good guy shoots bad guy plot. I thought it was cool. Now let's see what you had to say on Twitter about films currently playing in theaters. If you see a new movie in theaters, tweet your review with the JPMN hashtag to have it featured on the show. Next week, we're back in the theaters reviewing 3 new films. 42, the historical biopic of baseball player Jackie Robinson, Oblivion, the futuristic mystery with Tom Cruise, and Pain and Gain, an action comedy by Michael Bay starring Dwayne Johnson and Mark Wahlberg. If you haven't seen these films yet, you have a week to watch, and let me know what you think about them by voting in the polls below or by leaving a comment review. And please subscribe to the Movie Night Archive channel for my exclusive trailer commentaries and an organized library of all our past reviews. Once again, my name is Jonathan Paula. Thank you for watching Movie Night. I hope to see you right back here next Friday.